Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Hasib Ansari from hifivecode.com. Today in this video, we are going to learn how to install a Keycloak on different operating systems like Linux, macOS and Windows. We will start it from the Windows system and I will try to make this video as short as possible and try to focus on the goal, like how to install Keycloak and make it run on the browser. So at the end of the video, if you like the video, then please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and like the video and also share among your friends. So without wasting any further time, let's get started. The goal of this video is to have a running Keycloak server like this, what we see on the page, and we can go to the admin console of the Keycloak server. Let me log in first. So to install the Keycloak, and we should at least see this page of the Keycloak, and then you can play around with the settings or configuration. So we will not go in deep into the configuration part. Our first motive is just to have a running Keycloak and get into the admin console of Keycloak. So the first thing that we need to do is to go to the Keycloak website over here, keycloak.org, and then you can see the download tab. Get into this page and Keycloak will place its latest release on this download page. So what we need to do is, like, we need to go to the server option and download the zip or the tar file from here. I will go with the zip for now, and once you download, it will start and we'll wait for it to download. It will take a couple of seconds, so we will just wait. So as you can see, the zip file has been downloaded. So I will quickly go to the directory of it and I will find the zip file over here. All you need to do is extract the zip file into the location, and I will extract it as in a folder. So it is being extracted. And one important thing that we need to know, that to run a Keycloak on a native OS, like in this case operating system Windows, I need to make sure that my Windows is having pre-installed Java, so JDK. And for this example, I'm using JDK 1.8. You can also use 11 if you want to, but yeah, in order to run the Keycloak successfully, you should have this pre-installed. So once I have the folder, I'll go into it and I see that it is the structure how the Keycloak delivers its package. So in the bin folder, what we need to execute in the Windows is this file. So I'll quickly change my directory to the package that we downloaded from the Keycloak website. So Keycloak, sorry, not documents, it's downloads, Keycloak, and in the bin folder. Once we are here, all that we need to do is execute that standalone.bat file in the Windows. So I'll execute it and it will try to start the server, and it should take about some few seconds to start the Keycloak server. And once it is started, it will be having the port 8080, which is also the default port that Keycloak starts on. There is some configuration that we can also change this port. I will also show that thing in a moment. So it seems like it has been started, which you can verify with this line. And then I'll go back quickly to the browser and I will open my port 8080 on localhost. So yeah, once you see this page, that means that you have installed Keycloak properly. And the very first time when you run the bat file, you have to create a superadmin user in the Keycloak. So the entry point to the Keycloak console, admin console, is through this user, and So we will just create at this point an superadmin user, and I will say create, and then you see exactly the same screen what I have. If I log out and I go to my this screen, so you will also have now the same screen. So I'll log in again into the admin console of the newly installed Keycloak, and once I am successfully logged in, I should see the console with the master real. So in short, this is how you can install Keycloak server in a Windows operating machine. As we have finished the installation of Keycloak on Windows machine, let's now jump to the macOS. And just to make a point over here, the installation of Keycloak in macOS or in any flavors of Linux will be having the same steps. So in this video I will be just doing it for the macOS, and you can also do the same thing for Linux, and I'm sure that that will also work. So let's start installing Keycloak on macOS. So we will perform the same step over here like we did on the Windows. Go to the downloads, and in the server option we will download the Keycloak package. So it will take some time again to download the package, and once it is done, I'll open it in my Finder. I will unzip it right over here. So once the file is unzipped, we will quickly check inside how the structure looks like, and it is very identical or the same like how we saw in the Windows. And in macOS we will be executing standalone.sh file. So this file we will be executing from the terminal. So let me quickly go to the terminal on the folder itself. So once I have the terminal, I'll go to the bin directory, and from the bin directory I will execute standalone.sh. So now the Keycloak, the Wildfly server is starting, and the Keycloak application will be deployed inside the Wildfly. And it will take a couple of seconds, and this time also we will be having the Keycloak server running on port 8080 by default. So give it a couple of seconds and it will be up and running, and we can verify the same by this line. And with this thing we can quickly go to the browser and try to open our localhost on port 8080, and we should now see the welcome page from Keycloak, and we see the form to create our first user, which is the superadmin user. So we will quickly create one, and once we are done with this thing, we are able to go into the administration console with that user that we created. So I'll quickly get into the administration console, and we will see that we can now have the administration console of the Keycloak that we just installed. We can configure this Keycloak, we can create new realm, and we can do all the configurations with this user. And this is all we need to install a Keycloak server on macOS and on Linux. And to stop a running Keycloak server is pretty easy. You need to go to the terminal, and you can just press Ctrl+C, and that is all. And then we have no Keycloak server running. And as I also discussed, that I will also explain how to start Keycloak on a different port, which is also quite easy. So all you need to do is run the same command with a Java argument from JBoss, which is jboss.socketBinding.port -offset equals, let's say, 100. So what this means is it will have a port offset of 100. That means the default port plus 100, which is 8180. So in this case, the new Keycloak that will start will be running on port 8180 because we have the port offset set to 100. So let's quickly run the Keycloak with the port offset, and this time it should run on the new port 8180 instead of the default port that we always have. So in few seconds it will be up and running, and we can verify it by going through the browser. So yeah, it is up, and when I try to refresh this page, I will not have anything. But if I quickly go to the port 8180, then I can again see the welcome page of the Keycloak. I'll quickly log in to confirm that we are through with the same user. Yeah, so this is how we successfully installed Keycloak on a different port altogether. And with this, I will go to the next topic, which is like how to install Keycloak via Docker. And actually this is one of the easiest way to install a Keycloak on any given operating system. The only prerequisite is that the host machine should have a running Docker installation. So if you don't have any Docker installation, you can go through any tutorial or any videos which explains how to install Docker. It could be quite straightforward, and once you have it, you can again come back to this video and you can start having a Keycloak installation via Docker. So I will first stop the running Keycloak and I will execute. So I have the Docker running on my system, and I will also not go in detail with the Docker topics. So I will be having some upcoming videos later in this channel which explains like what is a Docker and how it is related to the host machine, what are the containers, why it is very feasible to have application deployed on Docker via Docker containers. All will be explained in the upcoming videos in this channel. So make sure that you subscribe to this channel so you don't lose anything on this topic. Right now I will execute directly the Docker command, and I will explain the Docker command itself so you have basic understanding of how it is working with the installation. So the Docker command is like docker run my container, and I want an interactive container so that I can get into the bash or the sh session, and I want my container to be mapped to port 8080 of my host machine, and I'll give it a name to my container and I will call it as Keycloak, and I will use the image provided by Keycloak into the Docker hub. So this name is actually the official image of Keycloak that the team Keycloak has deployed on the Docker hub. So I will quickly show you what I mean. So if I go to the Docker hub Keycloak, I'll see that there already exists an official image name with this thing jboss/Keycloak, and I can use this Keycloak image to run my own Docker container. So I'm using the same image, and once we have this command, which means that I want a Docker container running an interactive session to have the port mapped to 8080 of my host machine. So inside the container, so when the Docker runs, it creates a small container and the application is running inside that container. So the application will expose this port inside the container, and I just want that the exposed port of the container to be mapped to my host machine, which what I'm using right now is the macOS, and to map it to the macOS 8080 port, and I give just the name of that container and the image. So that's it with the command. And when I say execute, so the very first time when you try to run this image, it will not be there in your local machine. So what it does, it goes to the internet, downloads all the package from the internet and it stores it into the local repository. So this will only happen for the first time, and it will take some time for the when you execute it for the first time, but after that you will never see this step again for the same image, because it stores it locally. The Docker store all the layers internally, and when it finds it in the local repository, it will never go to the internet to download it from the Docker Hub. So now it was downloaded successfully, and then it directly starts the Keycloak server using the Docker image. Again, it would take some time to start, and as we said that to map it to the host 8080 port, so we will have the installation running on 8080. So we will give it a few seconds and it would be up and running. So this time, as you also see, that we did not download any package from the internet. All that was happening via the Docker, and it should be up and running. And we can also verify using the same line that we see every time. Started, yeah, this line. So this implies that we have a running installation of Keycloak. So let's quickly go to the local host pointing to port 8080. Yeah, and we see the welcome page from Keycloak. The only unusual part over here, you see that this time you don't have this form to create a new superadmin user. Instead, you see some warning message which says you need local access to create the initial admin user. I will quickly explain why we see it when we run it via Keycloak. When we run it via Docker. So when we run the Keycloak via Docker, we are actually running it inside a container, and when we try to access the Keycloak via this browser, which is in our host machine. So this is one of the security aspect of the Keycloak, that in order to create an admin user, or let's say the super admin user, it has to be done inside the machine where Keycloak is running. So in no way there would be a possible chance to create this super admin user from a remote access server or any remote machine. So in order to do this thing, either you get into the container via shell and execute this script, or you have this browser running in that machine. Then only you can create the admin user. So when we run the Keycloak via Docker, there is also some addition to this step. So there is some modification in the command itself. So I'll quickly go back to the Keycloak and I will stop this running container, and to make sure, I will quickly execute a Docker command which tells me like what are the service running, and I can also check it via, yeah. So I will quickly stop this thing completely. You don't have to take care about what I'm doing just now, so it is a more of a Docker steps. So but what I'm doing is like I'm removing the container completely what we started before, so we have the fresh container running in the next step. So we will use the same command, and in this command, because we could not see the super admin, we could not create the super admin user, the image provides some environment variables called as, first one is Keycloak _user, and you can provide the admin as the username, and also we will provide the second environment variable which is called as Keycloak _password, and we can provide here the password. And what this will do is, for you, when it creates the container, it will go manually inside the shell and it will execute this script for you with this environment variable values. And then we shouldn't see this page again. We should see the normal login page. So I will run the container with this two values and let's see what happens next. So I think there was a mistake in the command. I should have said like this. So environment variable key equals to value, and then I run it, and then it should work properly. Yeah, so it is now started with the two variable property. And if after the start of this server, there will be somewhere in the logs which will mention this step, like what it does with these two variables. We can also check it quickly once we have the running Keycloak server. I mean, even like before it starts, it also shows some property that, yeah, at the very first line, that it is added admin to this file system, and it is the script which is mentioned over here, like Keycloak add user. And now in the end, we can also see importing users from the same file. So let's go and see what happens to this page. So I quickly come here and I refresh the same page, and this time there is no warning message, and we directly see the welcome page to the administration console. So I go to the administration console to make a login with the environment variables that we passed as the Keycloak user and Keycloak password. So I use the same credentials, and I will see that I can successfully log in to the administration console, where we can do the configuration inside Keycloak. And I say that this is like the very best approach to install Keycloak via Docker, because it can be any operating system. The only thing is that you should have a running Keycloak you should have a Docker running, and you can use the same command to have the Keycloak installed. You don't have to take care of downloading the package from their website. You just have to execute that one single line command. And with this, I would like to conclude this video here. And to summarize what we learned in this video is we learned how to install Keycloak using the classical approach of downloading the package, and we installed it on Windows and macOS, and we also saw that it is the same approach to also install it on a Linux machine. Then we learned how to start a Keycloak on a different port, and finally we learned the best approach of installing Keycloak, that is via Docker. In the next video, I will go in a bit detail into the administration console of Keycloak, and I will also set up the first client in Keycloak. And yeah, all this will be in the next video, so I hope you will not miss it, and I will see you there. Finally, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and also why not share it with your friends. So I will see you in the next video. Till then, stay tuned, stay blessed, and thank you all.